Hi, my name is Jill, and I'm here to talk about my daughter Lexi. Lexi's 27 years old. She's my only child, my husband and I's, and when she was born, she's just the light of our world, and she was our whole world and still is.
I grew up in a really loving home. It was just me and my parents. I never questioned whether I was loved. We did everything together. We had problems like every family. I just always was surrounded by love growing up. So my junior year in high school was my hardest year. I got intoxicated, I went to a party, and I was raped. And I had a really hard time accepting that. I just turned to alcohol and drugs to numb the pain of what I was feeling. And I started drinking, blackout drinking. I was drinking before school, after school, during school, was drinking all the time, and I was having a hard time after the rape happened to be able to stop crying or to get out of the bathroom at school because I was embarrassed, I was mortified. It was just really hard for me to cope with that, and a friend brought me some hydrocodone, which is derived from opium, and it was a painkiller, and it was the first thing I took that really killed the pain. And I just started using those, abusing them, and that's kind of where my addiction really took off.
Is she being a normal teenager? Is this right? Is this just normal and something a phase that we need to get through? You know, it's so hard to know. It's so hard to detect whether your kids are turning to drugs or alcohol.
I think most people have a picture or an image in their head of what an addict looks like or what an addict is. I was very naive, and I thought that an addict was a homeless person, someone sleeping under a bridge, somebody in jail. I didn't even know that I could be an addict. I had great parents, I came from a good family, all these things. I looked good on the outside.
I just finally, out of desperation, just told her that we would be willing to send her to rehab and that we would support her in that. And she took us up on the offer. And in 2014, she entered her first rehab.
After I went to my first rehab is when I started shooting up heroin, and that progressed into shooting up meth, and I was doing Xanax, just everything I could get my hands on. Heroin was my drug of choice. Anything to kind of numb the feelings and to not feel the way I was feeling. This first rehab kind of started this cycle of rehab, relapse, rehab, relapse. It didn't seem like it was gonna end, and I had given up hope of ever having a different life. I got to a place where I just really wanted to die. I couldn't see a point in living anymore if this was all that life was going to be for me. After my 5th inpatient rehab with a lot of outpatients and other outside help in between, I was tired. I was so tired of living the life that I was living. And I couldn't function without the drugs, but it was obvious I couldn't function with the drugs. So I didn't really know what to do. And I got to this point where I just thought either I have to change everything or I am just going to use until I die.
Lexi did eventually come back around, and she wanted to go to another rehab, and you know, we just told her basically that we didn't want her to quit trying and that we were still holding hope. But I have to say, I mean, it was fading fast.
I had done a year in the program for women's recovery through the Union Gospel Mission in Olympia. I stayed for a year and ended up relapsing, and thankfully they showed me a lot of grace. They let me come back after my last time in rehab, and I've been there ever since. I enrolled myself in school, and I just want everybody to know that it can. Even when it feels like it can't, it really can. And although it's been really hard, I can't say that I regret anything. Hurting people it's not a great feeling, but I've learned a lot. and I don't know what tomorrow is gonna bring. I wish I could tell you guys I'm gonna be clean forever, but that's just not the reality. I know that today I'm gonna go to bed clean, and tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and try my best, and that's all I can do. The last thing that I wanna say is that if you or someone that you know or love is struggling, just not to give up. It doesn't matter if you have tried 1 time, 10 times, 100 times. Just keep trying, and the life that you're living today doesn't have to be your life always.